Boruto after the time skip might already be the strongest character in the entire series, and he has far surpassed barrier mode Naruto by this point. So Boruto 2 Blue Vortex has jumped right into the deep end, and it seems as though we are already getting into the long awaited fight of post time skip Boruto and Kawaki. Notice how I left Code out of that because of how useless my boy is. The Code slander on this channel is crazy at the moment, and I need to give this guy a break, but he literally has nothing going for him. He has no women, no friends, no power, and he's just a creep. But that's enough of that for this video. Anyways, the reason I think that Boruto is so strong now is because of the potential Momoshiki's karma actually has. I believe that Momoshiki's karma itself is far superior to that of Ishiki's, and I'll explain why later in this video. But before I get into this theory, if you haven't subscribed yet, then make sure to do so, as we are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of this week, and with all of your guys' support, we should be able to get there. Also, whilst you're down there, make sure to smash that like button so this video gets pushed to more people, and you guys can always dislike later if you end up not liking the video. And with that all said, let's get into this discussion. So Boruto has access to Momoshiki's karma, which we all know, but I think what people slightly underestimate about Momoshiki is his hacks abilities and raw strength isn't what actually makes him such a strong and formidable opponent. It is instead his intelligence and knowledge about the universe which he has accumulated over time. So in terms of raw strength, Ishiki far exceeds Momoshiki, and this is why at base level, Kawaki seem to be much stronger than Boruto in the version 2 of their karma. But this means that Boruto has much more potential to grow as a character than Kawaki, and I think this is the direction Kishimoto wants to take the story. So the likelihood is Boruto loses his oncoming battle, because if it was Kawaki that needed to catch up to Boruto, it would be unrealistic as Kawaki isn't a prodigy like Boruto, and he also doesn't really have any further awakenings to be had, unless there was like a stage 3 of the karma, which I highly doubt, and also if that was the case, then Boruto would be able to unlock the stage 3 as well. So if Boruto realizes that he is weaker than Kawaki, then he'll go away to train even further, and there's actually a lot of things which Boruto does not have access to yet, which would make him a lot stronger. Being so Momoshiki is so intelligent, and by far the smartest Otsutsuki we've seen thus far, this should theoretically translate into Boruto gaining this knowledge, especially when it comes to the fighting style. This on top of Boruto already being very smart and witty as a kid, and Sasuke, who probably has the highest battle IQ besides Momoshiki in the series, should make Boruto a lot more of a tactical fighter. Like I said earlier, the way Momoshiki was so powerful wasn't his raw strength, and I think this will show in Boruto vs Kawaki. Boruto will fight very similar to Sasuke, and Kawaki will fight very similar to Naruto, where Boruto will fight very tactically, and Kawaki will just be trying to punch Boruto, launch attacks without much thought behind anything. But now I want to talk about Momoshiki's abilities, which Boruto should theoretically gain, but we haven't actually seen Boruto showcase any of it yet. First up, we have the Rinnegan, which Momoshiki had in both of his hands. So these seem to be some ordinary Rinnegans with slightly different colours, and the different colours seem to indicate that it had a different ability, and in Momoshiki's case scenario, it was to absorb ninjutsu, or jutsu, and then afterwards amplify it and launch it as his own attack. This won't be great for Boruto, as Kawaki will refrain from using much ninjutsu due to how he fights, as well as the fact that he hates trading chakra control. But what would be very effective for Boruto would be the other abilities of the Rinnegan, which Momoshiki seemed to not use that much. Also, Sasuke used to have a Rinnegan, which means theoretically he should be the perfect person to teach Boruto how to use its abilities and how to control the amount of chakra it actually drains. I've kind of got a theory in my head that the reason that Boruto wears gloves now is because he has the Rinnegan in both hands. And this means when he activates his Karma V2 and these Rinnegans awaken, because he's got gloves over them, they shouldn't actually drain his chakra. So you know how Kakashi used to cover his eye so his Sharingan didn't drain his chakra? It would be the same for Boruto, and that's why he wears the gloves over his hands now. So the Rinnegan has technically got 6 techniques, in which I would say only 2 of them would really be effective against Kawaki due to Kawaki's abilities. So first up, we have the repulsive force and the attractive force that Boruto would be able to gain. Theoretically, when Kawaki shoots chakra rods at Boruto or tries to crush Boruto using the chakra cubes, he could simply use the repulsive forces so that he's creating a barrier between him and these objects. This could counter Kawaki's main attack arsenal, and then for the offensive side of things, he likely won't be able to use much of that ability. The one I'm talking about is when Sasuke used that giant sphere to surround the opponent in like a giant ball of debris. The problem is, Kawaki would likely be able to shrink all the debris, or just shrink himself, or travel to a different dimension, so he should be able to hard counter this ability. But theoretically, it could give Boruto the opening for an attack if he could track where Kawaki had shrunk himself and gone to. Also, I'd like to know from you guys, would Kawaki be able to shrink the entire thing at once, or would Kawaki have to shrink each piece of rubble, and hence it wouldn't really work for him to shrink to get out of it? So leave your thoughts in the comments down below, because I'm not really sure how this will work for Kawaki. It seems as though each Rinnegan user gains their own unique technique from the Rinnegan, and as I said earlier, this seems to be indicated through the different Rinnegan colors. However, because Boruto is likely gaining the exact same Rinnegan as Momoshiki, he would likely have the same absorption and amplification technique that Momoshiki uses. But next up, one of Momoshiki's abilities, which has a large grey area around it, is his ability to stop time. The problem is, this seems to be on a personal level to Boruto, where he's only been able to stop time and interact with Boruto. So the theory behind this ability is that we know that Otsutsuki can manipulate both time and space. We saw this with Isshiki, with the access to the separate dimension, which would primarily be using space manipulation. But something which we should also note is that time does not move in this realm. Therefore, it could be some space and time manipulation rather than just space manipulation. And we also saw that with the jougan, where Boruto can see openings to different dimensions, as well as accessing those portals. But Momoshiki seems to have access to both space and time manipulation. So as Boruto is now 100% Otsutsuki, he should also gain access to manipulate both space and time. So these Otsutsuki primarily use the manipulation of space and time through their dojutsu. However, it's unclear what dojutsu Momoshiki would be using to cause the pausing of time. So the idea behind Momoshiki seemingly stopping time is actually the fact that he can manipulate space, where he can create a bubble between him and his target. And he can only actually move within this little bubble that he's created. And then when he manipulates time, it is so that he can move so fast that for him an hour can pass, whereas in the real world, or what people perceive as the real world, it would be a millisecond or a nanosecond, or as far as you want to go, so that it seems as though Momoshiki has stopped time. So therefore it is why Boruto was conscious during these periods where Momoshiki seemed to have stopped time but couldn't actually move. And this is why this effect only happens to people within the bubble, and people outside of it don't even sense Momoshiki's presence. Essentially, he's trying to move, but due to how 1 millisecond is 1 hour for Momoshiki, Boruto would need to continue to try to move for thousands of hours for 1 second of movement to actually happen. Let me kind of explain this in a different way. So say I ran a race and I ran it 10 times faster than you. It would take you 10 times as long to finish the race. So say Momoshiki moved 1 million times faster than Boruto, it'd take Boruto 1 million times as longer to do the same action. Hence why it seems that Boruto is frozen within this kind of like realm. And the reason that I think this is a bubble is because of like the little thin clouds that you see when Momoshiki uses this ability. It kind of indicates that there is some sort of manipulation between space and time. But the only problem for Boruto using this ability is that he needs to be within range of Kawaki in order to trap him within the same bubble. The likelihood is, to counter this from being a completely broken ability, Boruto would need to touch Kawaki in order to trap him in this realm. Not only this, but maybe Boruto cannot interact with objects in this realm, and all he can do is just move about. Hence why Momoshiki was not attacking Boruto whilst in this realm. So this wouldn't make it too broken, as Kawaki would know that Boruto is frozen time, and he just needs to predict where Boruto went. On top of this, Kawaki could just make it so Boruto doesn't hit him, and then it shouldn't be a problem. But obviously that's easier said than done. But it also allows for some crazy combos for Boruto. So say he lands one punch, he can just keep using this ability until Kawaki actually manages to escape, as Boruto would just keep hitting him and then stopping time, moving to behind Kawaki maybe, hitting him again, and then stopping time, if that makes sense. But if you want me to go more in depth about this ability, then make sure to comment down below, and in the future I will make a video entirely dedicated to this theory about time stopping. But this ability is further proof that being so Momoshiki had this ability, he's the smartest Otsutsuki, because this isn't an innate technique. This is something Momoshiki would have to develop using his knowledge of space and time manipulation. This is why I think that Momoshiki is so underrated, and I guess it is justified because he did lose to Naruto and Sasuke, both at half power, but inside of Boruto is a completely different story. Because of Boruto's already high intellect, as well as gaining access to all of Momoshiki's knowledge, he should theoretically be even stronger than Momoshiki was. And obviously Boruto has access to some broken jutsu, which Momoshiki would never have used. And then Boruto being a shinobi, so the battle IQ that Momoshiki probably wouldn't have had, also comes in handy. We saw that Momoshiki was often tricked by Naruto and Sasuke in their fight, which means that in terms of shinobi battle IQ, he's definitely inferior to Boruto. And Kawaki obviously has none of that shinobi IQ because he was only trained by Jougan, who was kind of had that Otsutsuki way of training. And that is how Boruto will gain this edge and why his potential is seemingly infinite. And imagine on top of this, Boruto just unlocked the jougan throughout their fight. It would mean that Boruto is just completely broken. And say he was already at his maximum strength, then Kawaki would have a huge mountain to climb in order to catch up to Boruto. And that just doesn't seem realistic for him. But it does also make sense in the story technically, because if Boruto was stronger than Kawaki, then Kawaki would have that huge jealousy towards Boruto's strength, and it would drive him to insanity to gain more power. And this would parallel that of Sasuke when he saw Naruto's strength in the war arc. Finally, for Momoshiki's abilities, I would say that the ability to see into the future is pretty damn broken. So Momoshiki saw the prophecy about what would happen to Boruto, and again, this is likely the manipulation of time, but not space in this case scenario. The thing is, Momoshiki was only able to see the future through the eyes of Boruto, not like a bird's eye view on the scenario like Ada can, but obviously Ada can't see into the future, and that is where the downside of this ability actually comes from. It seems like even Momoshiki can't use this ability on command, maybe Boruto can work out how to make this something that he can use on purpose. This would maybe come as a byproduct from the Jougan awakening, where Boruto gains a true understanding of everything in the universe due to the Jougan being the pure eye and hence how we can see into the future. Also, Momoshiki did say that Boruto's blue eyes would take everything from him, and this could be where Boruto unlocks the Jougan and gains the ability to see into the future, and seeing everything that Kawaki does or Code does, it's just going to make him crumble inside as a character. And maybe that will be the opportunity for Momoshiki to actually take over Boruto's body, because I feel like that is still something which will be played on in this story. So this likely isn't an ability he already has access to, but instead something that will come alongside his Jougan awakening, and we'll have Momoshiki to explain exactly how this ability works. However, that is all for this video. If you did enjoy, then make sure to smash that like button, and make sure to subscribe if you are enjoying my content at the moment. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and we are so close to being there finally. Thank you guys for all your support over the last month, it has been amazing. Leave your thoughts on this theory in the comments down below, and also feel free to add anything about this theory if you feel like I've missed a point about Momoshiki's abilities. Also, if you have any feedback on how I can improve my content, please leave it in the comments down below, as I want to provide you guys with the best content possible, and all the advice I can get is going to help me a lot in the future. But with that all said, I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.